Sit right down and I'll show you where my dreams began.
I'm Michael Dugan, your culinary host, guiding you through the chef's journey. Join me at the chef's table, where you'll experience stories, secret sauces, signature dishes, and kitchen disasters. Today, our guest is Clara Gutierrez Carroll from Castilla Restaurant, a Spanish restaurant and tapas place. I'm here with Chef Clara. Clara, I'd love to understand what your childhood was like. I know you originally came from Spain to America. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town with probably 50 people. It's called Cabreros in Valladolid, in the center of Spain. And grew up in a farm. We raise pigs, and we grow wheat and cereal and sunflower seeds for oil. And yes, I went to school to the town next door, Medina de Rio Seco, and then around 14, when I think I was 14 years old when I moved to the big city, Valladolid. I believe used to be the capital of Spain.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's in Castilla León. It's right in the center of Spain. If you go from Madrid or Portugal, it's about an hour driving from Madrid or Lisbon.
So you moved from a really small town to a big city.
Really small town, yeah.
Wow. What was that like? How was that change?
It was scary and exciting. And I was always very intrigued about traveling, of course, because when you come out from such a small town, or what you want to see is what is up there, far away. And I was always very adventurous. I used to spend my summers with a backpack, just traveling around Europe.
Really?
Yeah, I used.
That's really fascinating. My wife is so obsessed with Europe. I've been there several times because when we got married, I always tell people I had to hang on because she just loves travel and I love food and culture. So we were a perfect match. But so you traveled all over Europe backpacking.
Yeah, they have this program. It's called Interrail. So you buy this pass, and then you can go anywhere you want. You travel by train, and you're free to travel for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever you choose. And just jump in a train, and sometimes you will even just go in a train just to sleep, because they have the sleeping. Just overnight, you will be spend the night in the train, and then you wake up someplace else in a different country and get up, find breakfast, and find something to do during the day and meet people. Yes, I was always very intrigued by moving around far away and getting surprised every day by what you were going to do.
What kind of surprises do you remember?
Good ones and bad ones.
Uh-huh.
Meeting people was always really fun. Then we're doing the same. We will stay in youth hostels. You will buy something in the market, and then in the youth hostel, in the kitchen, just make community meals. And just always trying to, I always was very amazed by the big cities coming from a farm. So I remember just going to Brussels, and oh my God, look at these buildings. They look everything was so amazing. And then people were so friendly, and of course the food, going to the markets and walking and seeing what every different country will have in the markets and what people were buying. That was always fun.
The markets in Europe are amazing. I was fascinated by how vast they are and how the variety of foods, the variety of seafood. When we went to a market in Valencia, I remember it just stretched forever, and the passion of the people that were working in the market. But there was seafood from any kind of fish you could imagine was there. And I absolutely love seafood. And the vegetables were so fresh, and the colors of the foods and the smells of the spices. It was breathtaking to be there.
Yeah, it's very, now looking back, how much time, it's pretty impressive seeing how much time my mom will spend. That was her job, going to the market every day and making an amazing meal, 3 meals a day. And that every day she will go to the fruit market, to the, like you say, the seafood market, the meat market, and just see what that day would look fresh and good. And
So not the grocery store, but the market.
that's correct. Yeah, markets. That's the way you. It was always more about what was available that day
Okay.
and what you can find in the season. And yeah, that's, I think, the quality of meals then I have growing up. I can't even come close to that right now.
Yeah, our food here is good, but I think in Europe there's something magical about some of the foods in Europe. Although I have to be really honest, your restaurant, your food is amazing. It brought us back, my wife and I, to Spain. And for our listeners, we went on my birthday in September. We went to Clara's restaurant and we'd never been there before. And it's in downtown Bellevue, right on the edge of the Bellevue Square Mall. And we had amazing tapas. It brought me immediately back to going to Spain and sitting at the tapas bar and having octopus and the potatoes. I forget the potato dish that you make, but it's like a kind of a fried potato. It's delicious.
Patatas bravas, I think.
Yeah, potatoes bravas. And the croquettes too. Those are amazing with ham. I just think about it still. It brings back a lot of amazing memories. I definitely want to stay on track. So going back to your childhood, I remember you were telling me before when we first talked that your family owned some restaurants in Spain.
Yeah, my dad's sister have a German restaurant, 2 German restaurants, and a medieval restaurant. That's during the summer and during the weekends, I will go there and help. And that's how I will raise some money to spend my summers traveling around Europe. And they will let me do things like cleaning the calamari and ironing the onions, so just cleaning the seafood. And it's kind of like was always around the kitchen. And also my mom is an amazing cook. And growing in a farm, you're always around the kitchen. And it's always something going on. You always have a smell. You open the door of my house in Cabreros and you can always smell what is going on.
Oh, it's amazing.
You kind of grow with that. You don't realize it's getting ingrained in your blood. And then when you move here, then that's how I realize I miss that. That's what it's something missing in my life here. I love to live in Seattle, and I absolutely love the people and the ambience, but I was missing that. I was missing the smells of my hometown. I was missing the food.
Well, I definitely think that you brought a lot of it back in your restaurant. Really feels like our experience in Spain. And that's really what brought me to talking with you. I was just really drawn to the cuisine, the ambiance, and what you've created. Would you say that your mom was the first one that you learned to cook from?
Absolutely, yeah. I can think of the time, when I start getting, you just grow up in the kitchen and in the traditions. Then when you're in a small town, in a small farm, and there's nothing else going on, you go to school, you come back from school, and then the rest is absorbing what you have around. And my mom she's an amazing cook. She probably never ate in a restaurant before. She learned to cook from her mom, and it's just old traditions. Yeah, I don't know how she became so good. She just have a sense for cooking and for flavors, and it's fun to see her now when I do something different, like if I go to Spain, and I always try to bring something special. Like one time I brought a few years back everything to make sushi, and the mats and the wraps and everything.
Oh, to make sushi. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember she was so excited to learn something new. It's like, oh, she just enjoyed that so much. And every time she tries something new, and it's just that's what she have. But no, it was fun too. It's always fun to see her enjoying new food, and she's so interesting, and she has so many questions about any other flavor that she had never tried, like cilantro. We don't have cilantro in Spain.
Oh.
And the first time she tried cilantro, I remember her face. She got like, oh my gosh, how you eat this? This is awful. And then the second time was better. And then she will ask me to bring her cilantro when I go to Spain.
That's great.
That's discovering new flavors. You don't we're really lucky here in the States when you have so many types of different cuisines and
Oh, there's
flavors.
such a blend of flavors. But I think Spain has some amazing spices. And my wife is fascinated by smoked paprika. She puts smoked paprika on just about everything. That's really interesting. So moving forward, what made you choose the path of moving into the culinary industry and deciding eventually to become a chef?
I can't even point to one event or a time. Then I say, okay, this is what I want to do. It just kind of evolved with time as different. The first thing I lived with a family. I came as an au pair to learn English, and I lived with a family. My host mother, she's an architect in a company called a big company, MBBJ. So they sell a building in Sevilla. And I remember she was saying, "Oh, we're celebrating. Then we just got this job, and what can I do? It's all about Spain. And of course, you're from Spain. You're living with us. Can you give me some ideas?" And I said, "Well, I think the way we celebrate is eating. So if I was you, I would make a meal for your office." And like, what? How can I make a meal for 500 people? I said, well, we can find something really, really easy to make, and let's just show up with these things. So we make. I remember going to a QFC, to the supermarket, and buying dozens of eggs. So we make tortilla de patata, which is really, really simple. 3 ingredients: egg, potatoes, and salt. And we make gazpacho, which is a blended of raw vegetables. It's a soup with pulse, typical from the south of Spain.
What makes a good gazpacho? I love gazpacho.
Oh, good tomatoes. A good gazpacho, yes. I think the trick is finding a way to make that tomato flavor come out. Just, I have a few tricks here in the restaurant that we do. Right now, the cherry tomatoes are the ones that really have, year around, you can get flavor in the cherry tomatoes. So that's the ones that I use.
And fresh spices, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then good blender. I like to make the gazpacho really creamy and kind of silky.
Oh, silky. Okay.
Yeah, I think in Spain, if somebody from Spain, this is one of the things about Spanish food, and it's so different from one region to the other. That's one of my biggest worries here, opening a Spanish restaurant, is all my friends from Spain who stop by and come to join a meal. They always tell you how they will do things different.
Oh, I see.
Which is really nice, because you learn every region have their way to do things. Every region own their own dishes. Like the gazpacho, if somebody from Sevilla, from Andalusia tell you how to make a gazpacho, you better listen, because they know how to do it
Okay.
right.
So it's like a rivalry almost.
Yeah, it's just, anyway, what I was trying to get is, then they call it salmorejo. And I always get confused. It's depending who you're talking with, if it's from one town is in Andalusia, if it's from Sevilla or from Cordoba or from Granada, they will tell you how to make the gazpacho different way.
Okay.
They use the same name. So it's kind of confusing for outsiders. But
it would definitely be confusing for me. I know a lot about food, but that might be a little bit confusing.
Right. The gazpacho, salmorejo, I don't use bread, because we have so many people asking for gluten-free tapas, and that's an easy one to go. And if you have a good blender, you can make a good gazpacho without bread.
Wow.
So you can have a gluten-free one.
Yeah. And there seems to be a lot of demand for that these days too. Different health concerns is what I've discovered.
You will have the gazpacho, like in my hometown in Valladolid, you will only get the gazpacho in the summer or in the spring, because it's when you have good tomatoes, and you don't going to have good tomatoes year around. But here we need to manage, you have it in the menu in the restaurant, and it's one of the staple tapas, so you got to have it year around. And yeah.
I have several friends on Facebook, and I posted a question the other day, and I asked them, what questions would you like to know from a chef? What would you like to learn about? And one of the interesting questions they came up with was, what causes your obsession and drive to be the best as a chef?
So to me, I feel like I'm representing here at the restaurant the food from Spain. So that's a big weight over my shoulders. So I need to make sure I please the customers. They come in and they're looking for. Sometimes they're looking for the croquetas that their grandma used to make. Sometimes they're looking for something new or what they have in Spain when they were on vacation there. So just trying to bring back those memories and just seeing, enjoying, just to please the customer, to see, knowing what they're coming here for and what they're looking for. Work really hard to make sure that's what they get. Spain have the gastronomy in Spain is amazing. Trying to open a little window to showcase what we have over there and just trying to make people excited about Spanish gastronomy.
That makes a lot of sense. And I can tell you, there is a lot of happy customers that you have. You have some really great reviews out there. Who is a chef that you would say you admire the most and why?
I actually love to see Anthony Bourdain shows. I don't watch TV often. In fact, I didn't have a TV at home for until I think this year or last year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I used to Google. I love Anthony. I used to love to see Anthony Bourdain shows because I feel how much he enjoying going places and seeing the traditions. I really, he really like what you do. For what you do, he didn't like. He always looked for the authenticity in every country when he visited. He will always want him to be treated like he was one of them. He didn't want he will get frustrated. Like if you treat him like, this big guy who's coming to do a show and let's do the best for him. No, he like authenticity. And I love that. I just love when people affect what you go there to appreciate what they have and how they do it.
Yeah, he was a very interesting reporter and chef. I followed him for quite a long time. I still watch A Cook's Tour, which was one of his original shows where he travels around the world and he just eats with the locals. One of my favorite shows was actually when he went with his sous chef from New York back to his hometown in Mexico. And they had a big celebration. They cooked locally and he connected with the whole family. It was really moving, incredibly moving and emotional. Years ago, I was in the business and someone gave me Kitchen Confidential, this book, and I put it aside for about a year. And then I picked it up and I read it. And I was just fascinated by how he could tell the real life story of the restaurant business, how hard it is. And, there's a lot of real unique challenges in the restaurant business. And he painted an amazing picture. What I find interesting about him is that he connects to people in the restaurant business, but he also connects to people all over the world outside of the restaurant business. He can relate to so many different people and he tells the real story and it's very powerful. So I also admire him. And it's wonderful that we have that in common.
I just watched the other day a show where he was in, I don't know, it was Morocco, someplace in Africa, and he won a god, and they were trying to impress him on all these nice restaurants. They will sell him, the god liver or the leg of God, and he say, "No, I want a full god."
The goat, yeah, that's the one I was talking about. That's the one where he went back with his sous chef from Mexico. And he went to his hometown and it was really amazing with the goat. I know what you're saying. I was fascinated by that. What would you say or what could you expect to experience when you walk into Castilla restaurant?
Well, the first thing I think is just the ambience. I think I want people to feel they're in a warm environment, and I want to take them back to whatever they were trying to experience. If they were in Spain, I keep hearing from customers, we were in Spain, or we were supposed to be in Spain right now. I hear that so much this past year. We have a trip planned to Spain, and we just want they don't come here only for the food. They want the full experience. Just the sense of sitting in a table, talk and gather, just a community space. And then, of course, having some nice wines and some good food and feel like a little space far away from Spain, but you can feel the warmth that you feel when you walk into a bar or into a restaurant in Spain.
If I was a listener and I was to walk into your restaurant, what tapas should I try? What 3 tapas should I try?
3, okay.
They're all fantastic, by the way.
I think you need to start with some jamón ibérico, jamón de bellota, some cured meat with
Okay.
some olives and Marcona almonds. That's an amazing way to start the meal. And having some sherry wine, and then moving on to something more of some patatas bravas. You mentioned that before. Yeah, patatas bravas and the golden yukon potatoes, and they have the brava sauce, which is the flavors. Then I remember from my hometown, there is this little place where they make this sauce, and they pour it over everything, over mussels, potatoes, and it's just that sauce is just tomatoes with cumin, coriander, caraway seeds, olive oil, and onions, and just a little bit of spicy pepper flakes. And calamari, I use when we do the calamari tenders. We call it is the classic calamari in Spain, which is calamari steak. So it's pretty thick and it's juicy. It's really tender, really tender.
What makes it so tender? Because I know many people have tried to cook calamari. I can cook it pretty tender, but I know people struggle with that. And is there a tip or anything you could offer our listeners to cook calamari?
Yeah, I think it's just buying the right type. Most of the restaurants when here in the States, when you order calamari, you get the squid. The first restaurant that I opened was 20 years ago, maybe 19 years ago in downtown Seattle. You couldn't find calamari in Seattle. It was really hard. I contacted someplace in Chicago, and they brought what I call calamari, which is the calamari steak, or what I can find here were the squid, which is much thinner and a small animal. In Spain, we call it chipirones, which is a completely different piece. So it's much harder and doesn't have as much moist. So that's what we use here is the calamari.
Yeah, it's interesting with the squid. Most of the restaurants here deep fry it. And then calamari steak is amazing when it's cooked right. We had it on my birthday and it was amazing.
Oh, good. Yeah, the calamari is a full calamari. If you buy it fresh, it's gonna be about 6 pounds, and a squid is gonna be about 4 ounces. So you just think the amount, the flesh is so much thicker and juicier. And then so we have, let's say, the calamari, the patatas bravas. I think I got 4 items there. The garlic shrimp are really nice.
I love shrimp.
Sometimes we have the full shrimp with the head, and we cook it a la plancha with sea salt, a lot of sea salt, and just lemon juice.
I read something about that it maintains the moisture in the shrimp. Okay. That's a classic Spain dish, right? To cook it with sea salt.
Right. Especially if you cook it on the shelf and with the head. And then when you open it, you get all the juice and the moist is cooked in their own juice. So it's really, really flavorful.
Yeah, delicious. What would you say is your favorite cuisine?
Well, I'm going to have to say Spanish. But besides that, I love all type of cuisine. I just go by, I love Thai food. I like the flavors and the freshness of the Thai food. I love Mexican food, the real authentic Mexican food. I like Vietnamese food. I like everything really. I love to eat. That's what I think all day. I'm always thinking about what we're gonna have for dinner. What am I gonna have for lunch? What is for breakfast? I'm always thinking about food.
And what would you say is your favorite to cook? Different cuisines.
Right now, I'm really into Asian food. I think that's what I enjoy the most because it's new to me. I'm not so familiar, so it's more like an adventure, and that's what I like. I'm sure I will get bored of it after a few, once. but yeah, I love new flavors.
And for our listeners, cooking is an adventure, and many people are shy and nervous about it. Take the plunge and jump in and learn about a new cuisine. Maybe try to cook some tapas. Can you tell me about the first dish you ever remember cooking?
I don't remember. I was saying, I remember the youngest, I will say, they didn't let me get into the kitchen. That's the thing. Growing up, and when you say the youngest cooking, I talking about 4 years old. I remember doing this tradition we have in Spain in December. You do the matanza when you butcher a whole pig, and just those 3 days, everything going on. First day when you kill the pig and making the mortilla, the blood sausage. butchering the whole pig, and then the second day making the chorizos, and the third day. So it's just preparing an animal from scratch. That's what I remember, and that's what intrigues me more now. Just going back to my memories, how I remember this, and talking with my mom. So what do you do the first day, and what are the steps? That's really those are actually the first memories of around the food. We will say just the smells and the sounds and all the tradition of all the neighbors coming to help, and you bringing them at the end of the day some confit apples with the fat of the pig. It's really weird stuff. Then when you think about it now, it's like wow, that was pretty amazing. It's nice to go back and remember all those traditions. Yeah, and I'm really lucky. Then, my mom loved to talk about it. So once in a while, I just scratch her brain. It's like, what we did here and what was like this day. But I was really young, and probably 4 to 6 years old. And that's probably my first memories. Not that they let me do anything, just watch, but...
It sounds like a big celebration. That's pretty impactful to remember that. I'm curious, what is the best meal that you've ever had? Maybe somebody cooked it for you somewhere in the world.
I would say my mom roasted suckling pig. Is when a little baby pig roasted in the oven, in the wood oven. Probably the best meal. That's what I miss the most, and that's the flavor. Then I want to get back to every time I go to Spain. It's the first thing that I want to try. Yeah, the nice crispy suckling pig. That's really nice.
That sounds really, really good. The last thing that we always save for last is dessert. Can you tell me what your favorite dessert is in your restaurant?
I think crema catalana, which is a version really similar to the creme brulee. Just heavy cream and steam with cinnamon, and then like a custard. And at the end, you caramelize with some sugar and candy oranges. And I think that's my favorite dessert. Yeah, crema catalana.
I've had that. I had that on my birthday as well. And it was amazing. I've made creme caramel before, or burnt cream. This was really good with the orange. I remember that flavor was very pronounced. Well, Chef Clara, I want to thank you for being a guest, our first chef on Voice for Chefs. We enjoyed having you and want to invite our listeners to go out and visit Chef Clara at Castilla Restaurant. You can search for them online at castillarestaurant.com. Thanks for joining us today. Follow us on Facebook. Find our website in the show notes. Subscribe on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen. Leave a comment with 5 stars and stay tuned for the next episode of Voice for Chefs.